What's up everybody, I'm Nick and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Your wallets are safe now because Nintendo has reportedly delayed the launch of the Switch 2, or Super Switch if they're smart, in order to combat scalping and satisfy demand, because, I'm sure that'll work. In other news, we've got everything you need to know about the next batch of Pokemon games, Sony's plan for the future of PSVR 2, remember that? A Willy Wonka live experience that's definitely going to be burned in a lot of kids' memories forever, and a whole lot more. There's also a new device that lets you smell video games because, that's what we needed. Anyway, it's about time where I look at my watch and comment about how I've talked too much, and then I say, it's news and time.
If you were hoping to get your hands on the Nintendo Switch 2 this year, I'm very bummed to report that you'll have to wait a little longer, or a lot longer depending on how long a whole year feels to you. Japanese publication Nikkei reported that it sounds like a March 2025 release window is looking likely for Nintendo's next console. With that report came more of the same info that has previously been leaked for the Switch 2. It's allegedly got a bigger screen and a similar console/handheld hybrid design as the first Nintendo Switch. So why the 2025 release date? Well, one word: scalpers. Those nefarious internet villains that seemingly make every new console launch a huge pain in the butt for us regular consumers who buy products to enjoy them and not sell them for profit. The report states that the March 2025 release window is to ensure it can manufacture enough launch stock to satisfy demand and therefore combat scalpers. When the Switch launched in 2017, it was almost impossible to get a hold of, sparking a vibrant scalping market. You probably remember the same thing happening to the Xbox Series X and the PS5 when those launched in 2020, so it stands to reason Nintendo would want to avoid repeating the situation, although it's safe to assume that scalpers will be there no matter how many consoles get made. So it feels like we've been reading and reporting on rumors about the Switch 2 or the Switch Pro or the Super Switch for years now, and it looks like that's going to continue for another year, which is kind of a bummer, but it also means that any developers with Switch 2 dev kits, including Nintendo themselves, should have plenty of time to get a strong game library going for the Switch 2's launch. So, better than Wii U and 3DS. I'm not expecting anything on the level of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but a brand new 3D Mario or, hey, Metroid Prime 4, which has literally just been a logo for now, would be very much appreciated. Until then, there's still a bunch of games coming to the original Switch this year, like Princess Peach Showtime, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, a remake of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. Okay, so maybe it's not the biggest year for Switch software, but knowing Nintendo, they've still got some surprises up their sleeves. So what do you want to see from Switch 2, and which games should it launch with? Let me know in the comments below. I will read them all to myself slowly, since I've got time to kill. I got a whole year to figure out what to do with. So I'll just read your comments slowly. If you thought the soul-crushing bloodbath of games industry layoffs that have been a near constant in 2024 were going to stop anytime soon, I once again bring more bad news. Sony has announced a significant round of layoffs affecting around 900 staff members, equaling roughly 8% of its global PlayStation workforce. The layoffs affect a number of PlayStation studios, including Insomniac, makers of Spider-Man, Naughty Dog, makers of Uncharted and The Last of Us, Guerrilla, makers of the Horizon franchise, Firesprite, makers of several high-profile PSVR and PSVR 2 games, and most significantly, PlayStation's now completely shuttered London studio, makers of Blood and Truth, the Getaway franchise, and more. Alongside the layoffs, a number of in-development games have been canceled. In a blog post soon to be happily retired SIE boss, Jim Ryan issued an update on what he called a difficult day at our company. We have made the extremely hard decision to announce our plan to commence a reduction of our overall headcount globally by about 8% or 900 people, subject to local law and consultation processes, Ryan said. Employees across the globe, including our studios, are impacted. These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future-ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. We need to deliver our expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology in gaming, so we took a step back to ensure we are set up to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community. Okay, so before I read more from a puffy PR statement from a guy who's about to ride a golden parachute into the sunset and spend the rest of his life at the beach, I'll just say it. This sucks. It sucked when Xbox did it a few weeks ago. It sucked when it happened to Riot recently, and Eidos Montreal, and Sega, and Twitch, and Discord, and People Can Fly, and tons more studios, and it keeps happening, and it isn't stopping, and when it does, it always impacts the average employee, and not the C-suite CEOs who tend to announce record corporate profits within weeks or even days of these layoffs. They don't even call them layoffs. They say we're refocusing our shift potentials, or downscaling our output divisions, or changing the way we approach the evolving economic landscape, which is a bullshit speak way for rich people here to keep their jobs, and the people who actually make things get kicked to the never-ending curb, and the games they spent years on will never see the light of day, meaning years of their work just vanishes under a stack of non-disclosure agreements, leaving a massive black hole at the top of their resumes forever. Fun stuff. Cool. Great. No notes. PlayStation recently announced that the PS5 had surpassed 50 million units sold, was outpacing the sales of the PS4. Recent data suggests the PS5 was outselling the Xbox Series consoles 2-1. Insomniac Games, which have this morning include several empty desks where humans were sitting yesterday, announced last year that their massively successful game Spider-Man 2 was the fastest selling PlayStation game ever made. Naughty Dog, which now includes several empty desks as well, where humans used to sit, also announced last year that the Last of Us franchise, now an award-winning television show on HBO, has eclipsed 37 million game sales sold so far. And you're probably wondering, is anyone safe, and is any of it ever good for anyone ever? And the answer is probably no, unless you're Jim Ryan or Bobby Kotick or Phil Spencer, and you can weather the storm and punt the burden onto anyone and everything underneath you. I don't have anything fun or clever or inspiring to say here. I just want to say I hope it stops, and it doesn't feel like it will anytime soon. Jim ended his statement by saying, "Thank you for your understanding during this difficult period. Please be kind to yourselves and to each other." Great. Something to think about while you're having an existential crisis in the unemployment line today. Thanks, Jim.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a disappointment for critics and players alike when it launched 3 weeks ago, and according to a recent WB Discovery financial call, its sales were equally underwhelming for the company. Chief Financial Officer Gunnar Wiedenfels admitted, quote, "This year, Suicide Squad, one of our key video game releases in 2024, has fallen short of our expectations since its release earlier in the quarter, setting our games business up for a tough year-over-year comp in Q1. It's entirely possible WB Discovery's sales expectations were unrealistically high since it found massive success last year with Hogwarts Legacy, which managed to be the #1 best-selling game of 2023 period, which is pretty impressive considering how stacked last year was. Still, Suicide Squad being a flop doesn't come as a huge surprise considering the game's waning player count on Steam. It peaked with 13,459 players at launch, and 3 weeks later, the peak concurrence of the last 24 hours is just shy of 900. Rocksteady has more content in the works, including a playable Joker and the possible return of Batman, but it's dubious if that'll be enough to attract players.
Several new Pokemon games were announced this morning, although you won't get to play the biggest of them until 2025. The Pokemon Company just held the first Pokemon Presents event of the new year, lasting nearly 13 minutes with news and information on the popular franchise for the foreseeable future. Aside from new Terra Raid events coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and a collaboration between Pokemon Go and the new Netflix animated show Pokemon Horizons, the biggest announcement from today's Pokemon Presents was a teaser trailer for the new Pokemon Legends game. While no gameplay was shown, we do know that Pokemon Legends ZA will be set entirely in the city of Lumiose. The name of that city should sound familiar to Pokemon fans, as it's the major city in the Kalos region. Now, I'm not a Pokemon guy, as you can probably tell by the way I butchered some of those names back there, but it's awesome that this map looks like a huge pizza and that the game has the words ZA in the title, because that means I get to call this game Pokemon Legends Pizza for as long as I can, while several of you get annoyed at me. I'm sorry. This means there's no new Pokemon console games coming to Switch this fall, like there have been every year since like 2016. Also means the Nintendo Switch just got its first confirmed 2025 game. Okay, now interestingly enough, this game will be coming to, quote, Nintendo Switch systems. Now that can mean the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED, but as far as I can tell, I don't really remember any game studio calling all of those things systems. In the past, they usually just say coming to Nintendo Switch, and it's assumed that the game will work everywhere. This adds fuel to the fire when it comes to the Switch 2 launching in 2025 rumors, and makes me think this new Pokemon game could even be a Switch 2 cross-platform launch. launch title. We'll see. Either way, if you are looking for a new Pokemon game to play this year, albeit one based on a very old Pokemon game, the Pokemon Company also announced Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, which is a new mobile game that brings the popular Pokemon trading card game into the digital world via iOS and Android. So yeah, get ready to collect and trade Pokemon cards on your phone. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket is set to launch at some point in 2024. It's a collaboration between the Pokemon Company, Dina, and Creatures Inc., the latter of which has a long history of working on the Pokemon series and is developer of the ongoing Pokemon trading card game. Players will be able to open 2 booster packs per day for free, complete with immersive cards that showcase special digital effects. You'll be able to buy more packs, battle against each other's, and do a whole bunch of other stuff that will definitely cause the game to be banned in elementary schools and possibly also seedy Las Vegas gambling circles. Good luck out there.
Moving on, over in Japan, Square Enix has accidentally mislabeled all the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth discs. As reported by Gematsu, the 2-disc physical edition of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has had a bit of a misstep, as a manufacturing error has seen every play disc printed with data disc and every data disc printed with play disc, so they're swapped. Square Enix issued a statement on its Japanese website announcing the error and explaining to players they'll need to swap the discs during the installation process. We apologize for the inconvenience this has caused, it said. Square Enix advertised the 2 discs boldly when it announced Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's launch window, putting "on 2 discs" in its trailer to the amusement of fans. The highly anticipated sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake arrives tomorrow, February 29th, and it's really good. I love it. While it might be annoying to have to remember to swap the discs in Japan, hey, maybe they'll be worth some money someday. Some copies of the original Final Fantasy VII from 1997 had a misprint on the back, and sealed copies of those go for over $6,000 today.
Speaking of Sony's increased forays into the PC space, it was announced yesterday the company plans to make the PlayStation VR 2 headset PC compatible by the end of 2024. A post on the PlayStation blog reads, quote, "We're pleased to share that we are currently testing the ability for PSVR 2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety in addition to the PSVR 2 titles available through PS5. We hope to make this support available in 2024, so stay tuned for more updates." Yesterday marked the 1-year anniversary of PSVR 2's launch, and while the next-gen headset allegedly outsold its predecessor, Sony's support for the device has left a lot of early adopters feeling neglected. Obviously, a lot of them would love for Sony to announce some first-party exclusives, but making the headset a little less proprietary is a nice consolation prize. It remains to be seen what the PC requirements will be or if there are any limitations on the compatibility, but it's nice to see Sony playing nice with others, and hopefully this is one way to play Half-Life Alyx on a PSVR 2.
And finally today, the classic 1993 game Doom has notoriously been ported to damn near anything with a screen on it by savvy fans who are hell-bent on getting the game to appear on everything from digital cameras to McDonald's cash registers and pregnancy tests. Yeah, it actually runs there. But it's finally and officially set to appear on one of the strangest devices yet, a lawnmower. In a press release, robotic lawnmower company Husqvarna revealed that the beloved first-person shooter will be playable on its Nera products for a limited time beginning in April. Owners of the lawnmower can sign up now to play Doom when the software update goes live on April 9th. Yeah. Okay. Husqvarna notes that the version its product owners will have access to is the first episode of Doom titled Knee Deep in the Dead. I feel like I would be knee deep in the dead if I started playing Doom on a lawnmower and got so distracted I accidentally mowed my legs off. Then again, as an American lawn mowing, Doom loving man, I won't have to worry about this happening because it won't be playable in America. It's only coming to select markets, including the UK, Australia, and Ireland, and will only be playable for a limited time with a software update set to remove the game from the supported products on September 9th. So yeah, weird story here, but it's not every day you get to rip and tear your lawn up while eviscerating demons in hell. Now call me when it can run Crisis.
While we may have seen Doom play on a ton of weird devices such as a vape, a pregnancy test, and now a lawnmower, that still isn't the weirdest device we've seen Doom played on. Earlier this year, an MIT student was able to get Doom running on a 1-bit display made of bacteria, once again proving that Doom can be played on anything, anytime, anywhere. Alright, it's about time for a quick break. But when we come back, we're checking out the latest on the Harry Potter reboot, a device that can make your room smell like the games you're playing, and what happened on social this week. Gamer smells and Doom robots, we truly are living in a golden age. We'll be right back.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Weekly Fix. I'm Dee, and we've got tons of news just ahead. But first, let's take a look at what we've been loving on social this week. Dune 2 has a 3-minute scene that took months to shoot. Timothée Chalamet tells us why. Aang from Avatar, The Last Airbender, needed a big morale boost on set. And finally, this Final Fantasy VII graphics comparison will blow you away.
In the sequence where Paul rides a sandworm, it was having a rig that was as violent and within reason uncontrollable as it would have felt to be on a sandworm. It felt properly terrifying at times. We had an entire worm unit where the massive resources of this film were dedicated to getting what's ultimately a 3-minute or 4-minute sequence in the movie, shot over the course of 4 months with a shot list that covered a wall this size that they sort of, dutifully chipped away at over the course of 3 months. So just extraordinary. Couldn't have been done on green screen.
I remember once I was shooting a really serious scene, and then I hear Gawandio and Ian in the background
Yes, this is so
Gordon.
good.
We need to build it up better.
Yeah, wait.
Okay, I'll let you. You're good.
Okay, we started doing this thing where we would just hit slay.
Where we would slay.
With the hip, it's like a whole thing. Me and Ian were in the background of a close-up on Gordon.
Crying.
Yeah.
And we're trying to build morale because we're low-key in a rush at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So Gawandio was like, wait, slay.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that's good. And we're like, Gordon slay. And he goes,
I can't slay right now. And then eventually I hit the slay. And then I completely screw up my crying scene.
That's it for this week. Until next time, be sure to follow IGN on social. Now back to the news.
GameSense is a new product that uses AI to release a smell that correlates to the gameplay on your display. In a press release, the company says that its patent-pending adapter allows the device to use real-time audio cues to dispense smells, like the smell of rain during a storm or gunfire in a first-person shooter, that corresponds with the game you're playing. It's a small box compatible with PCs, consoles, and VR headsets, and the device can plug into either an HDMI or a 3.5mm audio jack. GameSense features swappable cartridges to keep the sensory adventure going, according to the company, but there is a clean air neutralizer that removes scents after a gaming session, so you don't have to worry about the smell of a smoky explosion in your house hours after you finish playing, in case you're trying to get a quick game of Helldivers in before bed without your parents or your significant others wondering why it smells like burnt aliens in the living room. Great. And because this is a video game product being sold in 2024, GameSense has microtransactions. That's right, you'll be able to purchase DLC smells. I can't believe I said that. In the future, like sports arena, fresh cut grass, and blood. Yeah, blood. I can't even begin to imagine what they're putting in the canisters for that one. GameSense is available now for a launch price of $150, but if you want to wait and smell it for yourself, be sure to head on down to PAX East next month, where it will be on the show floor. Ah yes, a packed video game convention in Boston. The best place to smell stuff.
All of those GTA 6 leaks really have Rockstar spooked. That's according to Bloomberg, which reports that Rockstar Games is asking employees to return to the office 5 days a week come April. One of the reasons? The team is entering the final stages of development on the highly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6, and they're worried about security breaches. Per the report, in a staff email sent on Wednesday, Jen Colby, Rockstar head of publishing, said the decision was made to increase productivity and security measures. Remember that leak in September of 2022 that led to the leaker in question being sentenced to indefinite confinement in a hospital because he said he would immediately do it again if released? And then remember how the trailer Rockstar was going to release last December leaked a day early? Yeah, that all probably has something to do with this. Colby also said the company has found tangible benefits from having staff work in person. She wrote, "Making these changes now puts us in the best position to deliver the next Grand Theft Auto at the level of quality and polish we know it requires, along with a publishing roadmap that matches the scale and ambition of the game." GTA 6 is developed primarily at Rockstar North in Edinburgh, Scotland, although support comes from a number of other Rockstar studios across the UK and the world. Now, the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain, which represents video game developers in the UK, has publicly criticized Rockstar for the move and published testimony from current developers who warn it will significantly affect their well-being. According to the IWGB, last year 170 Rockstar Games workers in the UK signed a petition opposing mandatory 3-day office work. Now, workers accuse Rockstar of broken promises and have expressed concern about health, caring responsibilities, living arrangements, and a heightened risk of overwork crunch. Some workers have said they moved their lives further away from studio locations that would now need to be reversed in under 6 weeks to comply with Rockstar's demands. Rockstar is yet to comment. The IWGB also alleges Rockstar had previously insisted flexible work options would remain available in an employee-wide email that said, "This isn't our first step to 5 days a week. No one wants to go back to the old way of working." The IWGB went on to claim Rockstar management has so far refused to engage with workers on the issue and will pull the plug on remote access to technology on April 15th. GTA 6, meanwhile, is expected to launch at some point in 2025 on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Some predict it will become the best-selling video game of all time after its debut trailer set viewership records.
Now, we got so many updates on the upcoming Harry Potter series coming to Max in 2026. The WB Discovery CEO David Zaslav promises the new series will dive deep into the series of books, meaning we'll see the iconic stories retold for the small screen. Now, the plan is to tell the stories made famous by the series of novels for the next 10 years after this series premieres sometime in 2026. Now, this means we'll see adaptations of The Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows. Now, apparently, each planned season will explore one of the books in the Harry Potter series, but as stated previously, the plan is to run it for 10 consecutive years, so it sounds like they'll potentially stretch certain books for a couple of seasons. Now, that shouldn't be an issue for the later years and would be a major improvement on the original movies, which really should have been 2-parters from Goblet of Fire onwards. Now, David Zaslav seems to be quite bullish on the Harry Potter series being a viable franchise for WB Discovery, and with the success of both the staged production of The Cursed Child and the Hogwarts Legacy video game, interest in the Wizarding world is clearly there. Now, author J.K. Rowling will serve as executive producer on this series with plans of investing the necessary dollars to put the production and quality on the scale of Game of Thrones. Now, they're apparently pretty committed to producing a quality series for fans and muggles alike. Now, we'll see what's in store for us come 2026.
A live-action Naruto movie is in the works at Lionsgate with Shang-Chi's destined Daniel Cretton tapped to write and direct. Cretton has already met with franchise creator Masashi Kishimoto, who will help oversee the film. Cretton said in the announcement, "It was a true honor to meet Kishimoto-san in Tokyo and hear his expansive vision for his creation. We are very excited to collaborate and bring Naruto to the big screen." Naruto already has multiple animated movies, series, and games under its belt. Its manga alone has printed more than 250 million copies in more than 60 countries over the last few decades. In a statement, Kishimoto talked about his meeting with Cretton, saying he can't help but be excited for the film. It reads, "When I heard of Destin's attachment, it happened to be right after watching a blockbuster action film of his, and I thought he would be the perfect director for Naruto. After enjoying his other films and understanding that his forte is in creating solid dramas about people, I became convinced that there is no other director for Naruto. In actually meeting Destin, I also found him to be an open-minded director who was willing to embrace my input and felt strongly that we would be able to cooperate together in the production process. To put it simply, the live-action Naruto is bound to be a film with spectacular action and profound drama. I can't help but be excited for it." A live-action Naruto movie was said to have been in the works for some time, but today's news finally gives fans some clear direction. The movie has no release window, so we'll have to wait to see when it will arrive.
Now, in other news, this one's a little bit more crazy. There was this weird Willy Wonka chocolate experience pop-up that took place in Glasgow over the weekend, which apparently left a lot of children traumatized. Now, the event was hosted by a company named House of Illuminati, which honestly should have been the first sign that this could be trouble, and had a $45 ticket price tag. Now, what was advertised as a wondrous and enchanting experience full of surprises was nothing more than a single bouncy house, a rainbow arch, cafeteria tables, and jelly beans scattered throughout an abandoned warehouse. Now, here's one video a user shared on Twitter of a character known as the Unknown who apparently lives in the walls making chocolate. That sounds pretty gross. Not sure if I remember reading about that particular character, but hey, to each their own. Now, here's another image posted to Twitter of an Oompa Loompa that isn't the proper size of an Oompa Loompa, making, I don't know, something I'm sure would give both the Salamancas and Walter White a run for their money. To provide a bit more context on how horrible this experience was, here's one of the actors who portrayed Willy Wonka in this disastrous display.
So I was interviewed on the news yesterday, which I was more than happy to do because I thought, well, this will be an opportunity for me to kind of stick up for the group of actors who were also scammed by this event. In the interview, I talked about how we turned up, we'd worked out that we're probably not going to get paid for this event, but we'll stick around anyway because we know that they're going to put it on without us. Kids are coming through, let's at least try and make something of a nice experience for the children and families who are coming through. Then I said on the interview, I feel like an idiot, to be honest. I feel like I've kind of been taking the mick out of. Message all the actors was like, don't worry, I've defended us on the news. The news edited that interview, and what happened was last night at 6 o'clock was the guy at the studio saying, okay, now let's speak to Paul Connell, one of the actors who was at the event. It cuts to me going, I feel like an idiot, to be honest, and back to the studio. So that was good. I would like to finish this video by saying that I hope that the people who went there did get something out of it, other than one jelly bean and a quarter glass of lemonade.
Now, according to the BBC, the whole thing was so bad, people called the cops and demanded refunds. Yeah, I hope that I would get my money back too if all I got was some freaking jelly beans and lemonade? Because this whole thing just sounds like a waste of money with little effort put into recreating the imaginative world within the pages of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They got jelly beans and lemonade. How ridiculous is this? It's Chocolate Factory, hello? Jelly beans?
I'm Nick, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back next week with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news. But wait, there's more! IGN launched a Last of Us vinyl box set that includes music from both the Last of Us games, composed by two-time Academy Award winner Gustavo Santaolalla. It's pressed on 4 colored vinyl records and features exclusive cover art and 2 lithographs, all housed in a meticulously crafted outer slipcase. Check out the QR code on screen and pre-order now on IGN Store. And that wraps up for this week. Until next time, go be great and take care.